In the heart of Western Europe lies a land shaped by beauty and battle, by art and ambition, by revolutions that shook the world. This is France, a nation whose story is woven from centuries of courage, conflict, and creation. From the wild forests of ancient Gaul to the boulevards of modern Paris, the history of France is not merely one nation's journey, but a mirror to the rise of Western civilization itself. Long before the word France was spoken, this land was called Gaul. It was home to Celtic tribes, fierce, proud, and independent. They lived in scattered villages, worshipped nature, and valued freedom above all. But in the 1st century BC, their world changed forever. From the south came the legions of Rome, led by a man whose name would echo through history, Julius Caesar. His conquest of Gaul, from 58 to 50 BC, brought the land into the vast Roman Empire. Gaul was tamed, but never truly broken. Roman roads, cities, and language began to shape the land. The seeds of French identity, Latin speech, urban life, law, and order were planted deep. When Rome fell in the 5th century, Gaul was left in ruins. Yet from its ashes, a new power would rise. Out of the north came the Franks, a Germanic people whose name would give the country its own, France. Their greatest leader, Clovis, united the tribes and embraced Christianity around the year 500. With that act, the kingdom of the Franks became a bridge between the ancient world and medieval Christendom. For centuries, the Franks ruled a fragmented realm, but under one mighty dynasty, the Carolingians, they would forge an empire. And at its head stood a giant of history, Charlemagne. Crowned emperor of the Romans in the year 800, Charlemagne's reign brought learning, law, and unity to a divided Europe. He dreamed of a Christian empire of peace and order, a dream that would echo through French history. But after his death, the empire crumbled. France splintered again into fiefdoms and castles, each ruled by a lord, each bound by fragile loyalties. Thus began the Middle Ages, an age of knights and kings, faith and feud. By the 10th century, the Capetian dynasty rose to the throne, ruling from a small domain around Paris. Through patience, marriage, and war, their power grew. France became not just a land, but a kingdom. Medieval France was a tapestry of contradictions, brutal yet beautiful, devout yet ambitious. The towering cathedrals of Chartres and Notre Dame de Paris reached for heaven. Monks illuminated manuscripts that preserved knowledge through the darkness. And across the seas, French knights rode to the Crusades, carrying both sword and cross. They brought back not only relics but also ideas, trade, art, and science that would transform Europe. But glory was not without suffering. In 1337, a bitter conflict erupted between France and England, the 100 Years' War. For over a century, fields burned and cities fell. France's fate hung by a thread, until a peasant girl claimed to hear the voice of God. Her name was Joan of Arc. At just 17, Joan led French troops to victory at Orleans, turning the tide of the war. Her courage inspired a nation, though her life was cut short, burned at the stake in 1431. In her sacrifice, France found its soul. By 1453, the English were driven out, and the French crown was stronger than ever. The medieval kingdom was becoming a nation, proud, unified, and aware of its destiny. The 16th century dawned with brilliance and blood. The Renaissance swept across France, a rebirth of art, architecture, and thought. Kings like Francis I invited artists from Italy, including Leonardo da Vinci, whose final years were spent in the Loire Valley. The chateau of the Loire glittered with culture and sophistication. But amid the splendor, faith divided the land. Protestant reformers, inspired by Martin Luther, challenged the Catholic Church. France was torn apart by religious wars, Catholics against Huguenots, neighbor against neighbor. In 1572, the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre turned the streets of Paris red with blood. Thousands were killed in a single night, a wound that would haunt the nation for generations. Only with the rise of Henry IV, the first Bourbon king, did peace return. His Edict of Nantes in 1598 granted tolerance to Protestants, a rare act of wisdom in an age of zeal. In the 17th century, France entered its golden age, and at its heart stood one man, Louis XIV, the Sun King. His reign of over 70 years was one of splendor and control. He built the Palace of Versailles, a monument to royal power, where the nobility bowed to his will. Under Louis, France became the cultural center of Europe, a beacon of art, architecture, and language. But such magnificence came at a cost. Wars drained the treasury. The poor suffered while nobles feasted. Beneath the glitter of Versailles, resentment was brewing. The 18th century brought a storm of ideas. Thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu questioned monarchy, religion, and inequality. Their words spread like wildfire, igniting minds across Europe. Then came crisis, famine, debt, and discontent. By 1789, the people had enough. The French Revolution erupted, a cry for liberty, equality, fraternity. The Bastille fell, the monarchy crumbled, and a new France was born in blood and hope. But revolution devoured its children. The reign of terror unleashed chaos. The guillotine fell day and night. King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette met their fate before the crowds. France had overthrown tyranny, only to face its own. Out of the revolution's ashes rose a soldier, ambitious, brilliant, relentless. Napoleon Bonaparte. He promised order after chaos, glory after shame. In 1804, he crowned himself Emperor of the French, turning the Republic into an empire. His armies swept across Europe, spreading the ideals of the Revolution through conquest. Napoleon's genius reshaped Europe. New laws, new nations, a new vision of power. But his ambition knew no bounds. From Spain to Russia, his wars consumed millions. At last, in 1815, defeat at Waterloo ended his reign. Exiled and alone, Napoleon died on a distant island. Yet his legend endured. He had turned France into both a model and a warning for the modern world. The 19th century was a restless age for France, a struggle between monarchy and democracy, revolution and empire. After Napoleon's fall came the Bourbon Restoration, then the July Monarchy, then the Second Republic, and again the Second Empire under Napoleon III. France rebuilt industrialized, and modernized, yet it never ceased to debate what it meant to be free. In 1870, defeat by Prussia ended the Second Empire. Out of humiliation rose the Third Republic, a fragile democracy that would endure for 70 years. The Eiffel Tower rose over Paris, a symbol of innovation and pride, while artists and thinkers turned the city into the cultural capital of the world. Impressionists painted light, writers dreamed of revolution, engineers built the future. Then came the darkest century. In 1914, Europe descended into war. For 4 years, French soldiers fought and died in the trenches of the First World War. The soil of Verdun and the Somme drank their blood. When victory came in 1918, France was scarred but unbroken. Barely 2 decades later, another storm rose, far more terrible. In 1940, Nazi Germany invaded and conquered France in weeks. Paris fell. The tricolor flag was replaced by swastikas. But not all surrendered. From London, Charles de Gaulle called upon the Free French to fight on. Across occupied cities and rural hills, the resistance waged a silent war of courage and defiance. In 1944, Allied forces landed in Normandy. France was liberated, not just from occupation, but from despair. Out of the ruins, the Fourth Republic was born. Yet instability returned, until in 1958, de Gaulle once again took power. He founded the Fifth Republic, a system that balanced authority with democracy, and it endures to this day. Post-war France transformed. Cities rebuilt. Women gained rights. Colonial empires faded, giving rise to painful but necessary change. In the decades that followed, France stood at the heart of a new Europe, a founding member of the European Union, a nation committed to peace after centuries of war. From May 1968's student protests to the rise of technology, France adapted, sometimes reluctantly, always passionately. Its voice in the world remained strong, in culture, diplomacy, fashion, and art. Today, France is more than a nation. It is an idea of liberty, of creativity, of human dignity. From the revolution's cry to the philosopher's pen, from the cathedral's spire to the painter's brush, France has shaped how the world dreams. Its history is not a tale of perfection, but of perseverance, a journey through light and shadow, defeat and triumph, faith and doubt. Each era has left its mark, Roman roads beneath our feet, Gothic towers above, and the words liberté, égalité, fraternité in the heart of every citizen. From the warriors of Gaul to the poets of Paris, from kings crowned in glory to citizens marching for justice. This is the story of France, a story still being written by every voice that dares to dream and every heart that refuses to surrender.